Welcome, friends, to episode 330 of Color Magic, your magic and gaming podcast where we talk about all types of issues that affect gamers at and away from their gaming tables and computers. I am your host, PowrDragn, and for 330 episodes, still got my main man that I guess is maybe dealing with rainstorms right now in Texas. Brian Sonic, how's it going, man?
They keep telling us that there's going to be some kind of storm. Haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I keep hearing multiple people in various places saying there's some kind of crazy storms rolling through like the South and Midwest right now. It's like, so we're not getting any of it. I think I have like a 70-degree day today. I don't even know. Yeah, just a little 68 degrees. So we're having a good day out my way with lots of sun. But yeah, man, this week was interesting. I felt like every day we added something to the run sheet. So there's going to be a lot to talk about this week. But yeah, before we get into that, we got to do a couple of bits of business. We got to tell people, hey, if you want to support the show, hit us up over on patreon.com/color of magic, where you can get a shout out just like I say Andrew, it's Andre Bach, actually. Hey, I got to respect our patrons for supporting us. But also, we have another sponsor that if you're looking to buy some magic cards, matter of fact, I was just on the site yesterday pricing out a deck because I'm thinking about buying something through them. You can go over to manapool.com/promo/color of magic. Go over and check out Manapool. They're good people. They support several creators and their site's really good. Honestly, like if you've been using the other site where you just go search for cards from a bunch of different stores and whatever, go check out Manapool. I think you're actually going to enjoy it. I think it's smoother, it's cleaner, and honestly, even I put a thing in to get a bunch of cards with a bunch of different packages and whatever, and it just gives me different options for a number of packages, and you know, if I want to pay more or less or whatever, like it's super nice. Go check them out. It's manapool.com/promo/color of magic. But all right, dude, we got some good news that we have to talk about this week. I say good news. It's good news, but this also comes back to if we put $100 bills in booster packs, Magic players would complain about how they're folded, right? We got what we wanted and people still complain. But the news was that Wizards of the Coast has apparently signed an agreement with Marvel/Disney so that we can have Marvel characters or cards that appear or characters appear on Magic cards pretty much anywhere in our Magic stuff, which is great because that means all that's going to come to Arena. So all the Omen Pass stuff we dealt with or whatever won't be a thing in the future. Now, you can still have your Omen Path cards if you do like them. They will just be alternate skins or whatever they call the alternate versions of stuff you can have in Arena in place of the official cards. So I believe they have a June date, June 2nd, where they're going to do pre-orders on June 2nd, on Arena June 23rd. And when that set launches, they're going to basically convert everything that's already on there that's Omen Pass or through the Omen Pass to being the official Spider-Man versions. And everything in the future, starting with Marvel superheroes, will also be available as the actual superhero cards. So that's actually pretty sweet, man. This is something that when we found out about Spider-Man, you weren't going to get those on Arena. This was a big point of contention for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I don't know. How do you feel about this news?
I mean, I'm happy they're finally getting that done because it kind of ruins any any point of having the Spider-Man cards in Universe Beyond if they're not or in Arena if they're not Spider-Man cards would have been horrible to see that happen to Marvel.
Yeah, and I think from Watsy's side, it also kind of sets a precedent for future partners, right? That I think there could have been potentially somebody else, let's say down the road, they get a Nintendo or whoever, one of these other white whale type, brands that they could go, well, unless you want to give us more money, you're probably gonna have to do the thing you did with Marvel, right? But when Marvel and Disney are willing to come to the table, like, okay, you want to play ball or not, dude? Everybody else is doing it. But I feel like we got here two different ways, and I don't know either's right. This is just me speculating on how business works. But it is possible that either side just didn't get the contract done the right way initially, or maybe Disney or Marvel didn't understand the total capacity of use of the brand. They might have thought, oh, we're just going to make physical cards and then they're like, but you're going to put them on digital. And then lawyers probably had to go into some rooms and send a bunch of emails and sit through, I don't know, Zoom meetings or whatever to work out something that works for both sides. And we know when it comes to business legal stuff, sometimes things can be slow. So that could be part of it. But also thinking about the online component or digital component, doesn't have to be online necessarily, but the digital component, we did mention before that Marvel Snap was a thing. And Marvel Snap has been struggling by all accounts over the last year and a half or so. So it's possible at this point, Watsy was able to walk up and just say, like, hey, you want us to close the gap on some of that money you're not making from the other guys? We have a solution. You know what I mean? And maybe that's it. And it was that simple. Or maybe at some point in the near future, the contract's supposed to slowly run out and maybe they may not be renewing with the other thing. Like, who knows, right? It could have been anything that affected this. So when people are asking, like, what do you think this means for the future? And this, I was like, man, unless we hear directly from one of the companies, we have no idea. Everything's just going to be speculation. For
They
now,
probably
though,
both realized how much money they had left on the table.
yeah. And I think that's it at the end of the day, right? Like, Marvel probably asked for some extra money or whatever. Watsy just says, hey, whatever it is, it's probably worth paying. We're going to make a bunch of money selling superhero cards or whatever anyway. Cool. Let's give it to them. And then on the other side, you probably sell more on Arena if you're Watsy because people just want to have their like Deadpools and Wolverines or whatever, right? It just makes more sense. And they showed one of the cards where it's like Lord of Atlantis is done up like the old Namor famous cover. So it's just like the alternate versions you can get of sweet cards, like you're gonna want those on Arena. Like, come on, like what are we doing? So it's cool option all the way around. This is just a win for everyone. You know, I think seeing the players that are just like, oh, this should have just been a thing from the beginning, or blah blah. Yeah, we get it, but you got the thing. Like, did a mistake, an oversight, or whatever happen? Absolutely. Don't know how it happened, but it happened. But they gave us not even a solution, they gave us the right solution. Right? Like we just get everything on Arena. Like it wasn't even like we got some weird half solution or whatever. And they're even making good on all the stuff you already got on the Omen Pass. So there is nothing bad about this. Like sometimes we have to step back as gamers, as fans of any property, and just say, like, hey, sometimes if there's a good thing, let's just acknowledge the good thing. It's okay. Not everything has to be a 5 alarm fire. Not everything has to be something complaint worthy.
Well, I
Sometimes we
mean, the
need,
first what happened the first time was complaint worthy. Everything that happened with Spider
yes,
Man still happened.
but not the solution. Like this is a thing that fixes all those issues. We are good to go from here. Great.
Unless you bought a bunch of Omen Pass, because let's say you didn't hear about this and you're cracking packs like what is this? Why are there not spiders in here? What is this stuff?
Sure, but again, that's a problem from the past. Like that even fixes that. If you own those on Arena, you will get all of those replaced with Spider-Man things for free. It's just part of the update. So I'm like, great, this is what we wanted. We won, I guess. Like I don't know. Like, but yeah, I'm good with this. This was a honestly kind of a surprising bit of news. I figured at some point if we were gonna,
Yeah, I didn't think it'd be retro if they came with anything like that.
yeah,
I figured they would have to do something for Marvel superheroes, but I didn't think it would be something that could let them retroactively make Spider-Man cards. So that is cool.
yeah, I was in the same boat. I figured if something happened, it would probably be contractually written that it would just be every set going forward or whatever. And we were already getting close. I mean, we're a month and a half away or whatever from Marvel superheroes, and we hadn't really heard much of anything. Actually, I guess we're about a month away. But I was like, okay, I guess we're just gonna get more Omen Pass stuff, and that's just gonna be the way it is for Marvel sets. And then this sort of just came out of the blue. So nice to get some pleasant news, I will say, that at least takes away that concern. So it's really, really nice. And I don't have to learn 2 names for every card now for the sake of coverage and everything. That's gonna
Right.
make my life way easier.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's a win for me for sure. So I'm gonna take them where I can get them. But yeah, let's hop into the soapbox, man, because there's some weird news this week. For those of you that don't know, if you're not part of the streamer community, there's a couple of popular sites that whenever you're watching your favorite streamer and their chat has an overlay, or you have like bits notifications pop up, or whatever the case is, right? All that's done through other sites that are tied usually to something like OBS or whatever streaming service that the person is using. One of the popular sites there is Stream Elements, and they're one of like the two big ones. There's Stream Elements and Stream Labs. And Stream Elements has been kind of the more preferred one because of history with Streamlabs and whatnot at various points. But there was a rumor about 2 weeks ago of like, hey, through the grapevine, I'm hearing this, I'm hearing this. It sounds like some bad things are going on at Stream Elements. They're gonna be letting some people go. And I was like, okay, well, the official accounts are all quiet. So this is probably, a little bit of where there's smoke, there's fire kind of a thing. And then they just came out at the end of the week and said, hey, Monday, we're going to have an announcement. And I was like, okay, cool. Then it came out and they basically said, hey, we ain't been making no money. We ain't never really made money. And we're probably going to have to shut things down. And that caused obviously its own discussions and people trying to figure out where they're going to transfer stuff to or whatever. And then I guess yesterday, trying to make sure these are right on these announcements, but there was an update to everything of them saying, "Hey, we might have actually found a buyer." So they're talking to potential buyers and I guess what a transition plan would look like and what does that mean for their current customers. And we'll just kind of have to see what's going on. I mean, we don't really know. But yeah, it says as an official update, we're in positive discussions with potential acquirers and working to find the best path forward for creators, customers, and our team. We'll share more updates soon. We've spent over a decade building for creators, and we'll do everything we can to keep supporting this community. So, actually, I guess it came out a few days ago. Actually, so I missed it when it went live. But this is interesting because we've never really had this in the streamer community. There's kind of it just feels like they've always existed, and now we're having one of the companies go away saying, yeah, we weren't making any money, despite giving you all these services. And the funny thing is, or the disappointing thing I would say, is seeing some people go, oh, well, all they had to do was just take like 2% or 5% out of every donation that came through the service or whatever. And it's like, we all know if they'd have done that, people would have been mad because like y'all said this was free and now you're taking stuff off the top and whatever. But it would have been the right move for business, right? We'd rather they'd have been better off losing, I don't know, 5% of their customers than losing all of them, you know. But we'll see how things end up, man. And even for me, at some point, I'm probably gonna have to transfer stuff either to Streamlabs or some other bot service or something, just so I still have those nice to haves, when I am streaming. But yeah, I don't know. I like this puts me in a weird place because there are times where we see companies that already make a lot of money, say like Netflix as an example, that I think in a 2-year window raise their prices twice. And it's like, well, they don't really need to raise their price. They're just doing it to make stock numbers look right and, all this other stuff. But then there are companies like Stream Elements that effectively were doing a nice service for the community, right? Just giving people cool options and pre-built layouts and stuff you could use. Just a generally handy and useful service that apparently weren't making any money. I think the only money they made were from sponsor slash brand deals because there were some people that they would work through them to get creators for their stuff and then ads on the site and stuff as far as I can tell. So they weren't making anything off the actual users. And I guess they weren't even selling the user information or anything. They just weren't making money all the ways big companies tend to make money. So yeah, I don't know, man. We've said it before on the channel. Like we like seeing those that have been part of the industry and helping prop up the industry over like have a good go of it. And it sucks when you see one of the good ones going away. And this is kind of one of those cases, unfortunately.
Which they still don't necessarily, maybe are not going away. There's somebody hopefully is going to buy them.
Yeah, and I would hope if somebody were to purchase this service or the site, whatever you how you want to refer to it, that they keep most of it the same. Probably keep the name, keep the site layout, whatever. But it'll be interesting to see how the new people decide to monetize it, right? Because they're not going to buy it to not make money off of it.
Exactly.
Like, that straight up. So, do they go, hey, just so we don't end up like the previous owners, we're going to take 5% off of, I don't know, merch sales and bits or whatever that come through our service, right? All right, maybe that could be one way. Maybe they just go to a charge thing of $3, $5 a month. I don't know, maybe. But they're going to have to do something, right? You can't buy a service that says, "Hey, what we were doing wasn't making us money," and you somehow convince your backers to be like, "Yeah, we need to buy them." Hell, if
Right.
if nothing else, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody buys them for the information, right? The amount of information they probably have access to between the data for all the users, whether that's email addresses, home addresses, whatever, but also just the streaming info, right? How many people are watching each type of stream, each type of streamer, what age ranges, what countries, whatever. Like that information itself might be valuable to some company.
Oh, absolutely. Somebody would pay for that.
Yeah. So maybe they don't need to, maybe just in their mind, it might be worth it to say, hey, we roll up and pay. I don't even know what stream elements be worth. Let's say 500K or something, right? They're willing to say, hey, we're willing to pay $500,000 to buy this information. Everything else, if we make anything, it's just gravy, right? But this information can make us tens of millions. So it's worth it for us to buy this, right? And that might be the play too. So we have no idea at this point. We're all kind of just in a holding pattern. I wouldn't expect again to see any information on the final buyer or not on this thing, probably for a couple of weeks still. Because I imagine whoever the respective buyers are, they're probably sitting through meetings. They probably have to go through all the information to find out what's useful. Stream Elements has to decide what they can and can't or don't want to share until the deal is done. There's going to be a lot of little things that are going on. And we don't even know Stream Elements' timeline, right? Did they make this announcement when they were like on the cusp of blowing up and going under?
Great.
Or did they tell us when they have like a 60-day window, 90-day window, and a little more time? So there's a lot of unknowns there. But if you see anything changes with your favorite streamers or something's not working right or whatever, give them a little grace because they're all going through a transition period trying to figure things out right now. But all right, that aside, let's get into some interesting news and talk about stuff that we learned this week. Because, man, I have one that is a very surprising piece of news. And for those you don't know, there is a organization called Spiel des Jahres, which basically they're the big association that judges board games and picks the winners for different categories every year. And if you've ever gone into your board game store or you've seen like big announcements at Eschenspiel or whatever, it's usually like, hey, if you have a sticker from these guys, you are legit, basically. They actually saw a record number of games this year. 500 and I believe 71 was the number. That is insane, dude. For any organization to look at that many titles to pick a winner is crazy. And I think what was more surprising to me is this happens, we're talking, I think when I looked at the numbers compared, because they put a chart up compared to 2022 that had about 400 titles. Not even, yeah, I get a little short of 400 actually, not even a full 400 titles. So you're talking more than 200 more games in 4 years that were new to market to be judged for these awards. That's nuts. Like, I don't even, like, that's a mind blowing number because I think even when I had my shop, right, I would look at board games over and I'd be like, oh, okay, there's like probably 150, 200 new games. I really only need to worry about like 70 of them, and I'm probably only going to
Right.
carry about 30 of them, of the new ones, right? But this is not even, I'm thinking about even as a retailer to just, now, admittedly, some of these games probably haven't even been translated into English yet or whatever. This is just literally all the games that have been submitted for awards. But that's a lot, dude. Could you imagine being on that committee and having to like, all right, you get these like, I don't know, 50 games. And
I was trying to figure out, like, are they like, does everybody have to play all of those, or are they dividing them? Which even still, I think having to look at 50 games is a huge amount.
yeah, I my understanding, and I this is years ago I heard. I don't it's probably changed since then. And this was back when they had fewer games to go over too. So I don't even know what the process is now. There might also be more people on the association too that help. But you try to read through as many of the rule sets as you can to try to look for innovations, right? What's new and different stands out to you, whatever. And then you're playing some number of them so you can understand how the games work and whatever. And then I would imagine now the easiest way would be everybody recording sessions or doing stuff so you can either share it with people who have questions or you do write-ups and whatever so everybody kind of knows what's going on. But yeah, it's crazy to think about in the current market that there's still that many games.
Yeah, with everything going on with the economy and like well, as we'll talk about later about various printing problems and things.
Yeah. And I'll say in an interesting way too, some of these probably got in before the market got bad, so that probably affects it too. I'd be interested to see if the numbers are same or if there's a drop next year, especially with like the cost of oil, the cost of shipping, all that's going to be higher for the next several months. That might deter some people from trying to produce something right now or even produce it in certain areas.
Some of these like video games, the company may be built to publish one or two games, and then if they don't hit, the company ceases to exist.
Yeah, that's also true. We've seen that. And in the board game community or tabletop game community, we've seen a lot of people that just take a Hail Mary shot. It doesn't work, and then we never hear from that game or that designer again. It's just like, here's the one because we think this is the best thing since sliced bread, and apparently nobody else does, and that's it. So I've seen that a few times as well. But yeah, I just thought that was a cool bit, just to share for people who may not have eyes on that part of the community. Like that's pretty huge. So credit also to that association for the undertaking to still be diligent and pick true winners of the different categories. But yeah, dude, yours is a little bit more literally entertaining. So what do you got?
Yeah, apparently, Assassin's Creed is going to get its own stage show, kind of with lots of obviously urban parkour, choreographed combat, and physical feats within the some I guess some really huge stage environments. I'm excited to see how that's going to work, or if it's going to work. I'm thinking about Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark and how so many people got injured trying to do that, but hopefully this goes off without a hitch and. 'Cause I love the concept again, like kind of Spider-Man inspired. There's like obviously Cirque du Soleil does a lot in this space too, where people are hanging from the ceiling and doing all kinds of insane acrobatics. I think Assassin's Creed is definitely perfect for a project like this. So hopefully it goes off.
Cirque du Soleil has this thing in Vegas that I saw probably 8-ish years ago now. It's been a while. But there's a show called Ka, and they actually have a platform that they move throughout the show. So sometimes it's like slanted because they're supposed to be fighting on like a hillside or whatever, and then it goes completely vertical against the back walls so they can have like fight scenes and they're rappelling down and doing all this stuff. So if they do
Okay.
something like that in Broadway, that would be perfect for
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed.
Well, it's starting in Montreal. Then they're going to do a world tour. So hopefully at some point, I guess they hit Broadway, Vegas, all the major destinations. I guess I'll probably depend on how much money they make in Montreal to some extent.
Oh, you know what's funny? I think, if I'm not mistaken, the guy that actually owns Cirque du Soleil is Canadian, actually. So
Okay, so yeah,
they,
they've already got the contacts there,
yeah, they
probably.
might be able to hit him up and say, like, hey,
Yep.
how'd y'all do this? And can we pull it off, right? How expensive is it?
It's apparently going to debut December 3rd at Theater Maisonneuve. I probably massacred that.
Yeah, we apologize to all of our French speaking fans and Canadians.
Right. Then they'll begin a world tour in 2027, starting in France on the in Paris on January 21st. So hopefully,
Yeah, that's cool,
there
man.
definitely is, I think, a lot of potential there, and apparently it's also going to possibly focus on Elijah, who I guess is the son of our original main character, Desmond Miles, who may or may not be dead. You know how Assassin's
Well,
Creed is.
sure. I'll say this: while I think we're well past like the peak of Assassin's Creed, I think this is a way that you could also introduce the property and the characters to people who may not even know who they are.
Right?
Right? Like people who just want to see a cool stage show, or like I said, if you do it like COD, where it's different and innovative for people who've never seen in person one of those Cirque du Soleil style shows, you could really blow people's doors off, and they might really become fans. You
Yeah.
know, if you do it right. So yeah, this could be a fun thing. It On the one hand, it's like us, Assassin's Creed, but at the same time, it's like, you're trying something different.
Right?
Maybe it'll work. All right, let's hop into some topics because we have a kind of an interesting array of things to talk about here. And you pointed out to me something that I missed, but apparently William Shatner responded to his card that was previewed at MagicCon of William Shatner boldly going, as it were.
Or Captain Kirk boldly
Or
going.
yeah. So yeah, I don't know, man. This is always funny because I feel like every time I hear something about Shatner, it's never just like the basic Shatner news. It's always something. But there were apparently discussions where people are questioning if it was really him that made the post or somebody who runs his account. But either way, it is kind of a funny tweet.
Yeah, and the fact that whoever is in charge of that account actually chose to respond to it and then cited Kellogg's Raisin Bran for perfect product placement, because for everybody that hadn't seen the card, they're running, well, first the card called like Captain Kirk boldly going, and he's kind of shifting himself around like he always did on the TV show and when something's attacking them. And so it kind of does almost look as if he is attempting to boldly go to the bathroom, so to speak.
Yeah, I think somebody even did an art version where they like AI'd in a bathroom with him sitting
Yeah.
on the toilet or whatever.
And since Shatner has a contract with Kellogg's Raisin Bran, if you didn't see it, an epic Super Bowl commercial talking about Raisin Bran and how it can help you go. This is just perfect. So him, or whoever is running his account is totally on top of it.
Oh yeah, and I'll even say, looking at the card, until I saw the art, I really didn't even think about how much he really does have that pose in the
Oh
show.
yeah, that's a common.
Yeah, and I was like, man, I wouldn't be surprised if they just freeze framed and use that as the reference to make the
Right.
artwork for this. Because I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
Remember, I think it was I want to say Robert Townsend did Star Trek parody where they're like getting hit like 2 times, as they lean back and forth.
Yep,
It was
yep.
1960 especially looked very much choreographed because, of course, fight scenes in a TV show are choreographed.
Oh yeah, and especially when the ship gets hit, and then everybody
Yep.
just looks like an earthquake happened or whatever.
Right.
Because you didn't know what that looks like, so we just went, I guess when a ship gets hit, it just rocks like that. Yeah,
Yep.
but yeah, it's interesting, to see that the cards are at least, what little bit we know so far is at least making the rounds and getting known, getting seen, and we kind of also got our first glimpse into, all right, so the cards are going to be pretty straightforward, which to me is the way they should be, right? If you have fans, they should be able to come in, pick up the cards,
Yeah.
and go, oh, it makes sense. Shatner can search for the Enterprise, and he gives a bonus to spacecraft. All right, right? Like, what else should he do? That makes the most sense. But yeah, I'm still looking forward to that set in the sense of, I think it's a little for there's some people, obviously, if you're just not going to like Universe Beyond, you're obviously not going to like the set. So that is what it is. But I think it's a case of you could get some really interesting cards, even being very straightforward. I would almost even argue it's possible this set could be one of the more interesting sets while not even remotely having to be a complicated set.
And even if you do like Universe Beyond, this is a kind of a hard time to go into the Star Trek universe, because literally at Paramount they are tearing down Star Trek sets because as of right now there is not what Strange New Worlds is off. There's not going to be another TV show for, well, as of right now, for the first time in a long time, there is no Star Trek TV show in any stage of production. there is no movie in any stage of production. So right now there is no Star Trek happening at Paramount, which is mind blowing, but that's where we are right now.
Yeah, Paramount has a lot of issues going on
Yeah,
right now. So, like, I don't even think they know what their plans are in general for a bunch of licenses.
right.
But I'm with you. Like, it is weird to just be like, hey, here's the thing where, like, even the movies are going to do better than most other movies you put out just because they say Star Trek on them. So it's kind of interesting to just not have anything in production. But who knows? Maybe there's something by the end of the year, some announcement, some whatever. One of the things we've seen time and again with these universes beyond things is within a month or two before or after, they seem to be tied to some other announcement of things happening. But I don't know. We still have till the end of the year to find that
Well,
out.
they had just launched Starfleet Academy, so you would of course assume a Star Trek show that starts in 2025 would still be on the air at the end of 2026. In this case, you'd be wrong. So I'm sure it probably
Sure.
was designed to probably line up with the launch of season two, but apparently there ain't going to be a season two.
Yeah, that might be the case. It might be just that simple. One thing I will say, and maybe this is a warning to all companies, is like, hey, just shoving stuff on streaming services isn't necessarily the best plan because it keeps a lot of things from being seen, unfortunately. But yeah, other bits of news. There's a very interesting website I saw pop up, and I don't know if maybe I saw this get shared on Blue Sky, but the site is Library of Lang, just like the Magic card, library of Lang, Leng.com. And it is a really cool, I guess you'd call it like a repository of Magic articles from ever. I mean, I like honestly,
Right.
because it goes back, there's stuff from like 1999. So that's pretty far back. The dojo has stuff from 94. So I mean, there's a lot. It's basically all of Magic's writings, basically. 26 sites are indexed, over 12,000 authors. And it does this cool thing that if you want to see all the top articles that have had like the most views or the most relevant, you can click to see a random article, just like pulls one up so you can just learn about something from the history. It has, I don't know how it has all the search features built in. So if there's a certain topic or a certain author or website you want to look up, it can find everything from those for you. I mean, this is one of those things that I like. One, I just need a golf clap because as far as I can tell, this isn't monetized in any way. There's no ads, there's no banners. This is just a labor of love to preserve Magic information, which is an important thing right now, not just for Magic, but for everything, right? We're
Yeah.
seeing companies even take full TV shows and then just cut them. And as far as we know, that footage is just lost unless somebody's recorded or saved their DVDs. So we're seeing a lot of information just go away. So it's very cool to see somebody who's taken the time to say, hey, I don't know how he did it, if he just found a way on the Wayback Machine to scrape all the websites or whatever. But this is the most comprehensive thing I've seen for articles yet. Like this is pretty impressive. And I would love to see this. And I don't know about you, but I'd love to see this for video games, for TV
Oh yeah.
shows.
And video games, TV shows. And remember, think about DDT Digest for wrestling, which I
Yep.
think is archived somewhere. But yeah, you would literally, you'd watch Nitro, and then you'd go. Even if you already watched the show, you're still going to go to DDT Digest to read their recap because they were just that good.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? I think there's so much of that that gets lost, especially when it comes to writings, right? Because there's still a lot of good writers and authors out
Yep.
here on the internet that people aren't seeing because they're just consuming visual media. But there's still a lot of information and a lot of good details and stories to be had. So it's cool that let me find his name so I can give credit to this person too. Uh, Gregor Stocks is the name. A project by Gregor Stocks and Stock Books. But yeah, this is just impressive, honestly. Even the dumb stuff I wrote with the bad edits and everything from the Pojo are on there. So he's covered a
Oh
lot
god,
of
you
stuff.
said Pojo. That's how many years ago?
Oh, dude, that's a lot. That's like, what did I do that for? From like 99 to 03 or 04, something like that. So yeah, this covers damn near. I'm gonna say all of Magic written history. There's probably some things that are missing, but the time period, it covers almost all the
Yeah.
major articles at this point.
It'd be
And
virtually impossible to get everything.
yeah, and I wouldn't even be surprised, as thorough as he's being, if some other sites end up getting included down the road that are missed. But yeah, this is cool, man. I just think that's something that should be on people's radar, just to know, bookmarks, so you can have it for the future. And if you're
Definitely.
bored, there's just some fun reading, you know? But let's talk about Secret Lair for a second, because this is kind of interesting. We have Let's talk about the first issue. We just had another Secret Lair launch, Goblin Storm, which Watsy had posted up and said, "Hey, this is only going to be available one per person, like one per buyer." Because a lot of them have had like limits of 5 or 10 or whatever. This one's just one per, just so they can try to get it to more people, and it's still sold out in record time, right? So I don't even know. Like, I appreciate that, and I think that's the way it should be. And you got to get back in the queue if you want to try to get another one or whatever. Try to get it into the hands of as many people as possible that want it.
What's
So,
wild is the artist, Dakota Cates, who goes by Wizard of Barge on social media, said that he wasn't even able to get a copy of his own deck because, first of all, believe it or not, they literally only sent him one. They're serious. Everybody, even the artist, only gets one.
yeah, isn't that crazy?
So he wasn't able to buy one, and you wanted he wanted to really be kind of a jumping off point for a lot of his fans to possibly get into Magic, and of course, most of them couldn't get one. So it's just
Yeah, and we've mentioned that before, right? When you do these special promos that have a certain style of art or a certain artist brought in, part of that, especially when we're doing, like the Princess Bride or whatever, part of that is to bring those fans into the game. But if they can't get the product,
yeah,
then it doesn't really do much. And this is kind of coupled with another article we saw on Polygon that basically, I believe it
from
was the,
February, I believe.
yeah, of basically just saying, like, hey, things are the way they are. And I think this follows up, this connects well with the article and the announcement we saw about a month ago that just says, hey, this is just the way things are. Like, we're not going back to print to demand right now. It doesn't work for business. That still rings true today,
Yeah,
that they're still struggling with all the printing, and they're selling damn near everything they're printing at this point. So I it's just, it sucks, but I'm, as a person who bought, hell, I have several stashed away of Secret Layers of the past. I haven't bought one in, hell, I don't know if I bought one in the last year for sure, probably the last 2 years, just because the struggle of getting in line in the queues and all that stuff, I just
yeah.
don't even want to mess with it. So there's definitely
And I
money.
think that's how most people, I think, are at this point. It's just unfortunate, but they,
Yeah.
without print to demand, which again they said they can't do, and clearly they really couldn't do print to demand even when they were doing it because one of the problems is it was taking people 7 or 8 months to get their product, and yeah, that's not a good experience for anybody. So you can't go back to that.
Yep. And it's tough because I get what they're trying to do. Just like, hey, we want to make these new unique things and different things and have these cool promotional pieces. And from a brand standpoint, they still work because they're just profit, right? They're not going to not sell out right now if you have anything popular. Like some of the lesser ones that either don't have popular cards or don't have a really interesting theme, like some of those don't sell crazy fast, or they'll at least sell down to low numbers but not sell out. But any of the popular stuff, any of the Deadpool things,
Yeah,
any of the
Hatsune
Venom stuff,
Miku, any of that stuff.
yeah, exactly. Any of the anime inspired stuff, all that's gonna sell crazy. And they know that, right? So there's no loss to the project. And the only good news I think we take away from all this is that they are at least aware of it, and they want it to be different and want to fix it. And great, but they've already said, hey, it's going to be at least through the end of the summer before anything even changes, which makes sense because you already have a bunch of stuff scheduled to be on the printers and whatever. So, like,
Yeah.
even if they found a solution, you wouldn't even be able to start iterating on that for several months. So that makes a lot of sense. But I've heard from a lot of people through the industry, and we might have mentioned this once before, but all the different major trading card games seem to be having some type of printing issues right now. When you're talking about a major, mainly like Pokemon, but I'm also hearing some stuff with. I was about to say Runeterra, but that's the wrong version of the card game. But the Riot card game is also, from what I'm hearing, I haven't confirmed this to be true, but from people I trust, they're also trying to just possibly build their own printing facility because they're even having trouble printing enough. Right. So this is just one of those cases where we've brought a lot of people into the fold in nerddom, right? Whether we want to admit it or not, having these big IPs, whether you're talking about League of Legends or Pokemon, but also Magic bringing in all these things with Universes Beyond has brought in a lot of new people and it's working, right? Even we're seeing big attendance for major standard tournaments again, right? All the open series and regional championships and whatever. Like they're having good numbers again. So as much as I want to be mad and frustrated at the whole thing, the other part of it is I'm like, things are still kind of working. It's just they're not working to the maximum potential. Right? I guess is the best way to describe it. At some point, things will have to plateau, right? Arrow can't keep going up at like a 45-degree angle forever or whatever. Like at some point, things will slow down or level out, and maybe we'll see changes. But right now, I don't even know where that mark would be, truthfully. They have so many things planned already and so many major sets coming. And we talked last week, I think, about just all the sets coming out in 2026 are probably all going to sell well for the rest of the year. So like I don't even know where that would come from, but it's going to be a wild time, man, before this gets fixed. And I get it, the players are frustrated with Secret Lair, but I just think at this point, as much as I hate to say it, we kind of just have to accept that this is just the way it is. At least I would even say probably through this year before we see any changes. And it sucks. But like, what else is there to do, right? Like, we can be mad about it, but they've even said, "Hey, we hear you, but we can't change anything right now. It just
Yeah.
doesn't work for business." So I mean, if that's what it is, we're kind of stuck. Everybody's hands are tied. I mean, have fewer players, people buy less. Like I don't know, the other solution right now. So it is what it is, man. But on that note, why don't we wrap things up and you tell everybody where they can find you on the social media machines when you're not doing the show?
All right, you can see me over on YouTube at Age of Wagers, pending what happens in the Padres game. I have either 18 or 19-1 over my last 20. Or I guess
Nice.
I'll technically either be 19-1 or 18-2, both of which are really good.
Yeah, as I say, either way, it doesn't sound bad. But yeah, if y'all haven't checked them out, be sure to check out the sponsor Mana Pool because the site is great. But also, if you just want some fun reading, go check out Library of Lang. That is a really cool project that's out there. Otherwise, you can find me everywhere at PowrDragn, PowrDragn. And this weekend, I'll be doing commentary for the Arena Championship 12. So stop by the Magic's Twitch and YouTube channels to check that out. But as always, wherever you're watching or listening, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Please remember to take care of yourselves and your family. Remember to be awesome. And most importantly, be awesome to each other.